Geography and You presents
Hello and welcome to the GNY live podcast series on the air we fear. We are very happy to start our series on air pollution. In this series, we will conduct 6 podcasts exploring various dimensions of declining air quality. Air pollution is a crisis that poisons every breath we take. I am Dr. Sumiti, bringing you expert opinions about the why and how of it all. In this episode, we will discuss the science of air quality forecasting. Today, we speak with Dr. Gufran Beg, Chair Professor of National Institute of Advanced Study, Bangalore, and the founder of SAFAR, the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research. Dr. Beg is not new to the GNY family. We have published his article in GNY magazine and even shot a documentary for our GNY YouTube channel. Welcome, Dr. Beg. It is fabulous to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Beg, let's start with the basics. We often hear terms like PM 2.5 and PM 10. Could you help us break down for our listeners what exactly do these terms mean? And more importantly, which poses a bigger threat to our health?
See, this PM 2.5 and PM 10 are the tiny particles which cannot be seen by the naked eye. For example, PM 10 is the particle which is having diameter less than 10 micrometer. So you can see it is 10 raised to power minus 6. And they are the PM 2.5 is any particle less than or equal to 2.5 micrometer. So the smallest among these two are also PM 2.5. Smaller the particle, more dangerous and toxic they are. So if you ask me about between PM 2.5 PM 10, then PM 2.5 is much more dangerous. But it talks about only the size of a particle. So now for a common man, PM 2.5 is the size which is 1/50th part of a one single hair cross section. So you just can imagine how small it would be. That is why it can go to the lungs directly and can harm us.
Okay, Dr. Beg, you begin suffer. What does it do?
So SAFAR is India's first air quality forecasting system. It is called System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research. This was the initiative which has been started from the Commonwealth Game in 2010 by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India.
Okay.
And the institute which was taken a lead on that was the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, where I became the founder project director for SAFAR in 2010. After that, this is SAFAR is not only the forecasting system, but it is a framework which includes science-based advisory services, science-based dissemination services, emission inventory development, observational network, and many other things. At this stage of time, it has gone in 4 cities: Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, and Ahmedabad. And it is like a pilot study which has been given to the country, thinking that now onwards, all the implementing agencies will implement it in other cities. This is like a prototype which has been developed the technology for India.
So, sir, is suffer data amalgamated into CPCB or IITM data? Because when we look into the search engines, we directly do not find suffer when we look for air quality specifically.
Yeah, so the suffer data is embedded in the CPCB website. So
Okay.
whatever the stations which will see IMD, IITM, they are nothing but a suffer stations, because these are all part of the one ministry, India Meteorological Department, National Center for Medium Weather Forecasting, and IITM. So IMD is our implementing agency for the SAFAR.
So, sir, as you told me that suffer is basically working in 4 metro cities. So, will it
Yeah.
have some pan India reach in the upcoming time?
Yes, when it is envisaged, that see, Ministry of Earth Sciences are more of a scientific organization, a scientific ministry, and IITM is specifically R&D organization. So now, since the new technology was to be developed, new prototype and new example to be set up, that is the reason that initially it was set up to showcase that India has a capability in forecasting and putting this, which basically the SAFAR is more of a parallel to USEPA, which United States of America has. So it has been done. Thereafter, it has been included in the NCAP planning document that by looking at the technology which SAFAR has demonstrated successfully in 4 Indian cities, that need to be expanded by the respective pollution control boards in a different cities as the need realize as per the NCAP document.
But still, sir, it does not pop up in our search engines. Is there any particular reason for that?
Now, the reason, see, the point here is that the real, so as you know, we have come out with the NCAP plan, we have come out with the targets, but the real problem what we are facing in this, and that is another reason that why the success in eradicating the bad air quality is delaying. It's not that successful as it is supposed to be. The desired results are not getting into that, mainly because it is lacking scientific backing, and it is rating the implementation plan. See, so it should be first that technology need to be developed. There should be a science-based implementation plan, and everything, whatever goes into the policy, should be science-backed.
Yes,
And
yes.
unfortunately, that has not happened in this particular case. Only the targets or something like that which has happened, which is also equally important control measures. But there are gaps
Yes.
in the implementation strategies.
But sir, since we were talking about the pan-India reach, have you identified any other cities? Like, is there any future, any project which is going on that you want to do it in other cities, apart from these 4 that you have just told us?
Well, see, as per the NCAP document, each of the non-attainment cities are supposed to be developing a forecasting system. But in absence of a strategic implementation, strategy, we even state pollution control boards are probably in a dilemma that how to go about it, and it is a highly scientific initiative.
Yes.
It requires a continuous scientific background for development, and not only in the development. It's not like a product that you provide a product and it is all done one time. It need to be maintained, it need to be contained, it need to be improving with the technology, with the science we are progressing. And that is the reason that many of the agencies I see that sometimes they try to do it tendering of this, sometimes something else. But then I think we need to put a framework that if we need to go for the forecasting system, how to go about it.
Yeah.
IITM has shown the technology, but IITM is certainly not an operational agency so that it can go further.
Yeah. And I think it is very important for us to think about this because the public, I feel that the public has normalized polluted air as a part of everyday life. I mean, even though they are suffering from recurring cough, cold at the mildest, and many other complications at the worst, but we don't see the kind of seriousness we need.
Certainly. So,
Yeah.
see, there are 2-3 things which I wish to mention in response to your question. See, the point is, unless we connect air quality issues with directly health. See, the point is there are 2 important things in our country as a livelihood. We need it. One is health, another one is a food security. This air quality is connected with both health and food security. So all the things, concentration, all the things has to be health centric. Air quality index should be how it is going to impact. So that should be, but then it goes independently, not connecting the health as much as it is required. And that is the reason that in addition to Central Pollution Control Board, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, ICMR, other institution, research institution, which are working on this, they should have a close harmonization, close working, environment. Then only the purpose of this would be fulfilled. Otherwise, going in silos is not going to achieve the target as faster as it is required to be done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, since you were talking about the food security, what we have observed, there is so much politics around the issue of stubble burning. And in the winters, particularly, the farmers of Punjab and Haryana are blamed for causing air pollution in Delhi. So, do you think stubble burning is actually the culprit in polluting the air?
Well, see, this question is always often being asked.
Yes, yes.
That whether stubble burning could be blamed or anything. Now it is a very tricky kind of a situation, which I think a common man need to very clearly understand that particular thing without getting any confusion on this one. Stubble burning is a problem of 45 days.
Yes.
When the crop which is being harvested, and which is mainly the paddy fields, paddy. So it has a lot of all those things. But then for getting a field clear for the next crop, the farmer has to clean their thing as fast as possible. The biggest problem is in a 45 days time frame.
Yes.
Now that has to happen.
Yeah.
Now the point is that if you make a charging that, the people who burn, they will be charged 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, it is not going to help, because they have to clear the field. That is their life and survival question. So there has to be a viable solution which can work so fast as 45 days, where all the harvesting has to be completed for field to be ready for the next kind of thing. So this is the problem of 45 days. Now what we suffer. When I was a project director, I have first time found out that what is the percentage contribution of stubble burning in PM 2.5 of Delhi. Now, mind you that it has to happen in these 45 days. If whatever is the contribution, you divide it by 365 days, it will come out to be 3% only, which is negligible. So many people say, oh, it is a negligible. When you divide it by the winter, which is 120 days, suppose, it will come out to be something like 10 to 13%. That is also not very big, because transport sector itself contribute 40%.
Okay.
But then if you talk about one day, it may go as high as 30, 40, 45% also it has gone. So the point here is that when you talk about a national problem, national implementation program, or Delhi per se program for a year long, we need to go for a longer mitigation strategy. But as far as the stubble burning is concerned, this give rise to the extreme pollutions. Had stubble burning should not have been there, the air quality would have remained in poor or very poor, but it goes to the severe. During those unfavorable days when the weather is not favoring us, and weather is favoring the transport of those. So when that happens, when the extreme pollution events increasing, which are not only increasing in terms of a number, but which are becoming a prolonged also, longer. So it is as good as telling that if you are having a high poison, then it is going to harm you much more as compared to you are having a very, very slow poison, which is going to harm you in a slower manner. So it is becoming important during these few days of 45, but those peaks which are converting into the extreme is extremely dangerous. But if you look from a total point of view in a yearly, it's not a
culprit.
It's not a big deal. It is just a yearly 3%.
Yeah. Sir, you said that transport causes 40% of the pollution. So, but the Delhi transport infrastructure, what do you think? I mean, is it capable to handle the pressure? Like, if we switch to electric vehicle, can we mitigate air pollution?
Yes. So that is really a very pertinent question. That is about 39 to 40% of the transport sector, which is contributing to PM 2.5. And then dust is dominating contribution in PM 10, but not in PM 2.5. So in PM 2.5, which is the most dangerous, as I already told, as compared to this, transport sector is a 40% on this. Out of which the heavy duty vehicles, light duty commercial vehicles, which are running still on peripheral roads with the diesel, are one of the major culprits on this particular thing. So the issue is twofold. Number one is that you need to, this is the only sector for last 10 years where the number of vehicles are increasing significantly. So
Yes.
the moment we get into Bharat stage 2, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, whatever technological advantage we get it, they get nullified, averaged out with the increase in number of vehicles. So we are back to the square. So we are only, for last 10 years, by the way, in Delhi, the transport sector increased about 40% emissions are increased. So 40% share, as well as for last 10 years, is a 4% per year. The emissions of PM 2.5 from the transport sector is increasing. So the point is that all the diesel, petrol, and all those things, we can get rid of that. If converted to electrical way, it is going to yield a very, very significant outcome. There is no doubt about it, provided that there are many other challenges which we need to tackle. Battery, we are not still completely self-dependent on lithium, cadmium,
Yes,
as
we
well
have
as
to.
when the batteries will go bad, then to destroying them and all those. So there are a number of other challenges, but I am sure that with this 40%, if we convert to EV, it is going to have a huge benefit. But then more than that, you need to have the traffic management.
Yes.
If you can eradicate the if you can make sure the free flow of the traffic, stagnation, jam, all those things, if you can get rid of this by infrastructure development, by scientifically getting into the fact that do not make overbridge or underbridge randomly, but by looking at the air pollution point of view, then I think these two things will have a lot of difference.
But sir, as you speak about EV, but our electricity is also not generated through renewable sources. We are highly dependent on coal. So, what percentage do you think? How much we can move forward with that?
Yes, so I always put like this, when I have mentioned in my earlier comment that there are several linking factor which has a merit and demerit, I meant only this. See, the point is the moment you will convert all these vehicles, yani you wanted to save this 40% PM 2.5 emission by converting to electricity, you need to generate the electricity.
Yes.
Electricity generation in India come as a expense of coal-based power plants,
Yes.
which is 80 to 90% electricity
Exactly.
come from that point of view. So obviously you are burning more coal because power requirement is more.
More.
And you are burning more coal means you are directly contributing to the deteriorating of the climate change. So basically, we are not in this particular sector, we are not helping to go towards net zero as the government of India has committed, but we are basically going in another direction on that. So then what is the solution? Then when you are going in a the way you are going in a benefit for air quality, I think there is a time when our power sector need to get a reform, and then our dependency on coal has to decline, and we need to look for the non-conventional sources of energy, number one. Then another one is that hydraulic power, then nuclear power. There are many things. Alternative has to be done. I'm not favoring
Yes.
or telling or vouching for any particular thing, but then our dependency on and all those power plants which are very old need to retire
Yes.
as soon as possible, and that is one of the challenge which we need to face.
So, okay, Dr. Beg, we are noticing that there is a discrepancy in air quality index data that various private and public agencies put forward. While government agencies that they report the AQI in Delhi, it ranges from 300 to 400. However, international agencies they report a higher number, sometimes around 1000 to 1200. What is your take on it?
Yes, that is always a very big confusion which happens specifically when there is extreme events, and it has cropped in last November also, last month. Reason is very clear that there are two things, important things which one need to understand here. One is that there is a standards for each country which is different from different based on the your susceptibility, immunity power, and all those things. In our case, PM 2.5 for 24-hour average standard is 60 microgram per meter cube. What does it mean? If 60 microgram per meter cube is there, roughly you are safe. If it's less than that, if you go beyond that, it is vulnerable to your health. How much it is serious to your health, that defined by further categories, which is moderate, poor, very poor, and severe. All those. So there is a category in the worst categories, and there are only two categories in the good category, which is good and satisfactory. This is there. So 600. Then, this is like this. Now, for example, if you go to WHO guidelines, then this 60 has gone to 15 microgram per meter cube. If it go to US, it is something else. If you go to UK, it is about some 10, 12 microgram per meter cube. So it goes in a different ways. But let us go to that in India, we are having a 60 microgram per meter cube. The discrepancy comes when private agency do not follow the air quality index framework for government of India, but they follow the WHO framework or some other countries framework. That is one thing. Another thing which I will see in our own system, when air quality index was devised, then it is thought that beyond 500 AQI, which is equivalent to something like 450 microgram per meter cube or so, nearby that kind of thing. Health impact, we have reached to the peak of the health impact, and it is not going to harm more than that, whatever we have reached to that kind of thing, which I do not agree to that. So they have kept the air quality index at 500. Beyond 500, whatever may come, it will be freeze that. So that is as per the book of air quality index, which CPCB has found out. But then there is another flaw which is there in the software, which has been developed by the CPCB, and that is something which I have been telling to this. The people who has made the software in CPCB, in fact, air quality index concept comes only with 24-hour average. So after 24-hour average, if your air quality index is going beyond 500, then you cap it at 500. So it will remain that. But what is happening in the software, that they are calculating per se AQI for every hour.
Okay.
And they are keeping 500 in hourly basis, on an hourly basis. If air quality index is going more than 500. So what is happening in this particular case, that you can never touch even 500. If all the values are going beyond 450 microgram per meter cube, you are still going, and one value goes to just 100, you are still going to get the air quality index less than 500. That is all right. But the point is that the capping on an hourly basis is happening on an hourly basis, which is not correct, which you will not feel when air quality is in a normal up to very poor or little bit of this thing. But then you will feel only when there is a extreme events, and that is what different people have felt. So in conclusion, there are two takes. Number one, we follow air quality index, which ranges from 0 to 500, put 24-hour cap in air quality index, whereas other countries do not put a cap at 500, or other WHO also do not put a 500. It can go at any level and all those. But second thing, we are even more than that, we are underestimating the air quality index by putting a cap in the software on an hourly basis. The concept of air quality index only applicable at 24-hour average, then you keep it, not on an hourly basis.
Okay.
But sir, the discrepancy, the data discrepancy that we are talking about, for a common person, it creates a lot of confusion. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and we also wonder, like, whom should we trust? Should we go to WHO? Should we go to SAFAR or CPCB? What is your take on this, sir?
Yes, see, the point is that is where I am telling you there should be a mechanism. Now, you and we are talking and trying to clarify. I try to clarify with a number of other TV channels and media by doing. Lot of people got benefited. I got a mail also that we got a clarity about it. But then there should be a mechanism by which the person, society, people should get educated by this. Otherwise, they will they will remain in confusion. That mechanism of outreach is also missing, which need to be put in place. And there should be a statement from a responsible agency
Yes,
that these
exactly.
discrepancies are because of the following thing. This is what is this. This is what is this. People understand that kind of thing. But then we do not have any mechanism, or nothing is coming from the part, and that is what is creating a problem. So then when we were talking about our own airshed approach and NERFI, we have written this thing that there should be a very strong group. We should have advocacy, education, and outreach.
Dr. Big, as you may know, GNY is not just a journal. We are a hub for ideas, debate, and discussion on everything from the environment to policy and beyond. For over 23 years, we have brought independent, accurate, and honest insights for our reader. And I've avidly gone through your article in GNY magazine on tropospheric ozone and food productivity. From the point of view of air pollution, the hotspots are located in many cities around the nation. What do you think about the big city approach? Does it work towards greater visibility or what? Because when
See,
when we
Yes,
were
sir.
doing our research, we have found out that cities like Begusarai, Kanpur, they were more polluted and they don't have any monitoring system.
yeah, so this is one of the biggest another gap which we are finding, that we are focusing. In fact, NCAP program is focusing on a non-attainment cities, which is about 131, 132, something like that. And now I always say that unless you make a observations in everywhere, Delhi is the only city where you are having a maximum 45 stations of air quality monitoring station. There are many cities which do not have a more than 1 or 2 stations, but we are still finding out air quality index. That particular city's air quality index would be highly biased towards the location it is fitted.
Okay.
So if it is fitted in a green garden inside, it will provide a wonderful air quality, and you are in the illusion. But at the same time, if it is put near the traffic junction, it will overestimate. Then it will keep on providing a foul. Both of them are not good. So there is a WMO, World Meteorological Organization, based guidelines, where I was also the part of that guidelines writing, where it is very clearly defined that a million city or a 5 million city or a 10 million city, how many stations should be there minimum, by looking at both finances as well as the science,
Yes.
not compromising anything, because one station cost about 1 crore rupees where everything is there. So we cannot go indefinitely for the spray of AQI, AQMS. So which has been, and then it has been very clearly defined also that based on the city's structure, the different micro environment, it should be fitted. It should be in the background, it should be in the green, it should be near the roadside, it should be the downtown, it should be near coastal area if it is a coastal cities there. So there is a divine average of all those is a representative of a city, which is not happening. This is one. Second most important thing is that although we say that we are having a 1,000 air quality monitoring stations or more than that, but many a places, majority of the places, only PM 10 is measured.
Okay.
PM 2.5 is not measured in those places. And air quality index is based on PM 10 because the guidelines became very clear that for air quality index calculation, you should have a one of PM 2.5 or PM 10. And taking advantage of that particular thing, PM 10, if it is there, then we keep on doing like this. but the culprit is PM 2.5,
Yes.
where majority of the stations we will see that PM 2.5 remains a prominent pollutant. So what we are missing? We are missing really a realistic air quality index in absence of PM 2.5 measurement. So there is a need of expanding PM 2.5 measurement as soon as possible, even in these non-attainment cities also. Forget about all those. And another one is we should be very cautious about branding a city air quality based on a single station or based on only PM10 measurements.
Shifting gears a bit, Dr. Big, on policy level, how effective is GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan, in curbing the seasonal spikes in pollution?
Firstly, the GRAPE, basically, as you all know, that it is Delhi and surrounding area. So CAQ, this Commission for Air Quality
Yes.
Management is for that particular thing. But as recently we have discussed, worked out in association with the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, that our NCAP program is highly location-centric and emission-centric. Now, with the advent of a new era of changing climate change is started making a interference in air quality also, not only in monsoon or weather. That is one. Another one is that is the reason that we cannot be only talking about emission-centric approach. And second most important thing is in view of this, we need to work on a airshed approach. Airshed approach so far in an NCAP program, why it is a city-centric, so the funds flows to the corporations on a city level or the state pollution control board or in a district or a state level. Whereas airshed approach does not distinguish between administrative or political boundaries. As for example, so we need to adopt an airshed approach. So one example which I will see that we came out as a part of PSA project, which we had a meeting on 7th November 2024 in the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, where we have identified 16 airshed in India.
16
and
airshed.
each airshed has a very distinct property or distinct characteristics. What is then airshed? The next question comes. What is it? Airshed is a region which is governed by the identical processes, where the impact of a one place affects the another place equally, or which enjoys the similar kind of a climate. So, for example, Delhi. Delhi has some part of 7 states. So the airshed of Delhi is having a region which is consist of a 7 state, although total airshed area doesn't go beyond 100 by 100 kilometers or so, but it does have that. So now similar kind of a impact, GRAPE 2, 3, 4, whatever we are telling, if it is not imposed in a airshed, and only if it is imposed only in NCT, then obviously the impact is not going to be, you can't see the difference, and that is what it is happening, number one. Number two, people are not understanding even this also, that suppose Delhi, out of the total area, suppose Delhi covers about 50% of the airshed area. Let's consider. Then people feel that if we are putting a curb here, then at least we should get a 50% advantage of that or improvement. No. As per the law of the physics, when you vacuum a particular place, immediately air from the surrounding area fill it to make it uniform, to make it a steady state. So if you are not working on an airshed approach, then the moment you clean and then there is a space on that, the dirty air from the surrounding region will fill it up.
Okay.
And then air quality. So in a piecemeal manner, not adopting airshed approach is certainly not yielding the benefit which it should yield in GRAPE 3, GRAPE 4, GRAPE 5.
Okay.
But I have another dimension to that.
Hmm.
These are the quick fixes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If it is today air quality has gone to severe or something,
Hmm.
Hmm.
again earlier it used to be when air quality has gone already to severe, then the next day it is implemented
Hmm.
by mobilizing all the agencies. May it take one more day. By the time it has air quality has again gone back to the very poor. So then you are flip flopping without even getting start something. You are getting into the closer of that particular. So then government of India has I mean the CAQM has changed it that based on the forecast, if it is done, we will implement. But then as CAQM, we have been hearing that many a times, even the forecast which has come, it has whatever it is told, it has not happened. Sometimes it says that severe is not going to happen, but it has happened. So you are in deficit. Sometimes it says severe has gone, but it remained only poor and very poor. Then you are unnecessarily taxing the common people or other. So both the things are happening. So we are still do not have a proper decision support system, which is a foolproof kind of a decision system. We should go on that. But more than that, this is, even if it is correct and everything is in place, the short-term measures are going to save you from an immediate threat. Those people who are already suffering from asthma,
Yeah.
the boys and girls who can take their kid to the school, that will get benefit. But then more than that, it is not going to serve. So we need to get into the striking in a different implementation strategy, long-term plans,
Yes. Yes.
medium-term
Yes.
plan, short-term plan is only for the temporary relief.
Yeah. So certainly we need a more comprehensive plan. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought. Dr. Big, if there is one message or call to action, what would be your suggestion for pollution control?
The message number one, we need to educate, outreach, and self-mitigation, inculcate the feeling to the people. It should become a political discourse. The moment it becomes a political discourse, I think I have a gut feeling 50% of the problem will solve. Why? Because it is not that in a political discourse they will promise from their heart that the things they will work. But when it becomes a political discourse, automatically in a political arena, outreach has gone. It goes to the message goes to the people that yes, there is something wrong in this, we should take on those. So the outreach happens, self-mitigation kind of a inculcate feeling, or तीसरी चीज जो है, the another thing is that it will go in a political discourse. So that is, it has to become a part of the political discourse, which is unfortunately not happening as
Yeah.
much it should happen, number one. And then everybody should feel that yes, this is a problem, we need to all together. So citizens, only government cannot solve this unless
Yes.
government get a support from a citizens, the people. So all of us should work together for a single goal, forgetting any deviations which are ill-conceived notions, and work towards the betterment of our children and elderlies.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Big, for sharing your expertise. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today on the first episode on the air we fear. If this episode was helpful to you, don't forget to share it with others. As we say in GNY, learning betters the fight for change. Don't forget to follow us on Geography and You YouTube channel for updates and more discussion on critical issues like this. Until the next time, remember, clean air is not a luxury, it's a right. So let's keep the conversation going.